Lagos NMA declares indefinite strike in 3 hospitals over colleague's death. Governor Sanwo PDP sets up campaign council for Bayelsa Guber poll. Wike Makinde make list. Subsidy removal. Sanwo-Olu starches BRT fares by 50%. Orders distribution of foods packs to vulnerable Lagosians. Buhari or Simbadu absent as APC NEC ratifies Ganduje. Bashiru as party chair. Secretary PDP LP mock new appointment. FG orders implementation of no work, no pay policy for striking resident doctors. IGP to launch school protection squad to combat school safety challenges. FG to increase surveillance around second Niger bridge over vandalization as commuters jettison bridge. Tompolo security outfit intercepts another Togolese vessel allegedly laden with stolen crude oil. Mass layoff eats federal civil service as government orders 500 senior directors to resign. FG deletes illegal loan apps. Writes Google to delete them from Play Store. TikToker convicted over defamation of Nollywood actress, sentenced to 2 years in jail. All these and many more will be the names we'll be reviewing for today's news review. I am EMIOLA HAMID, and with me is your in-house analyst,
OLUBUNMI KAZEEM.
Welcome once again.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. EMIOLA, and good morning
sir.
to all our listeners, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope you're trying to cope and survive with the challenges that life is throwing at everyone here in Nigeria. All over the world, everybody is facing one challenge or the other, including those that you think are well-to-do. So everyone is facing, one issue or the other. So just, please keep hope alive. There is light at the end of the tunnel, as it is usually said.
Wow, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The hope keeps us living. As you are watching, you can as well, as you are listening, you can as well watch us live on our social media handles on YouTube, Light Radio on Facebook, Light Radio on Twitter, the Light Radio on Instagram, Light_radio. You can equally listen to us via Radio Garden, and you can as well download the app via Play Store. LR is the symbol. Today, 18th of Muharram, which is equivalent to 5th of July 2023. Niger coup. Tinubu dispatches Abdul Salami Sultan to Niger as Kingibe travels to Algeria. Libya. President seeks Senate support for proposed ECOWAS military operation sanctions. Do you think the best thing to do is to approach this Niger issue with military or dialogue?
Well, to begin with, you know quite well that the coup is over a week now, and for a coup to be sustained after 1 week, it's successful already. Now, for ECOWAS is adopting a carrot and stick approach. It is opening the doors for dialogue, and at the same time, it is also threatening that if the ultimatum given to the coupists, the putschists, to restore democratic rule to Niger, then there could be military intervention. And that, it says, it's the last option on the table. You know, there are a whole lot of things that have been, announced. ECOWAS has already announced sanctions, and that's why the president has actually written the National Assembly, and the letter was read by the Senate president, seeking the ratification of, those actions as taken by ECOWAS. Nigeria is a member of ECOWAS, and our president is a current chairman of the ECOWAS, heads of states and government. So, in that regard, the president is also seeking the support of the National Assembly so that it can give effect to the communique, those decisions of ECOWAS. And they are far-reaching. The idea of military intervention is the last on the table. There are so many other options that you have there. Border closure, ban. We talk about ban of commercial flights to and fro Niger. So as it is now, no Nigerian is expected to actually engage in a commercial flight to Niger, and no commercial flight can come from Niger to Nigeria. That is part of it. Apart from that, you're also talking about the fact that ECOWAS is also imposing a no-fly zone. No plane should fly into Niger. That's the idea. So apart from that, you're talking about sanctions against school leaders, cutting power supply, freezing of state assets of Niger in ECOWAS countries, where including financial assets and other commercial transactions, such that the coupists will not have access to the funds of Niger that are in these other countries. Are you with me? So then again, we are also ECOWAS also announced sanction against the leaders of the coup and the supporters or the henchmen there, so that at the end of the day, if probably they have any asset, any business interest in any ECOWAS country, they will not have access to all those assets. That's part of the whole thing. Now, minus all these sanctions that have been announced, you now have delegations being sent to dialogue with them, and you now put on the last option the issue of military intervention. And in order to give effect, just for them to realize that we are not joking, ECOWAS is also not joking. Senegal has already announced its readiness, that if ECOWAS gives the green light, it is already preparing its armed forces. Nigeria is also preparing its armed forces. In fact, there was this leaked memo, and I think that it's also illogical, irrational, and it does not bode well for our national security that we continue to leak confidential and strategic security information. For what? Just to trend, or to say that I'm the journalist that got the information first, or what? These are information, pieces of information meant for the defense chiefs, and they were leaked. It's a cable that was leaked, and at the end of it was showing that this number of armed forces, this number of soldiers should be dispatched by the Nigerian army. This number of whatsoever should be prepared by the Nigerian Navy. This number of this should be prepared by the Nigerian Air Force. This and that. These are not pieces of information meant for public consumption. So, but what they are trying to do is, so all these border areas, especially for Sokoto, that go there and assemble there. When they see that we are not joking, one way or the other, probably they would have a rethink. Nigerian government sent the Sultan and former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar. Now, Abdulsalami Abubakar, a general, a retired general, a former head of state. The Sultan, a former military officer. In fact, he retired, based on information, as a brigadier general. And for the fact that he's a Fulani man, the head of that Sokoto Caliphate. So he wields a lot of influence. So we feel that, apart from his military experience, also the traditional and religious perspectives to this, for the fact that Nigerians, majority of them are also Muslims. So that respect would be there, and for the fact that he's also a Fulani, and you also have a lot of people that are also Fulani in Niger. So, and even the outside president is perceived, I think, is a sure Arab person. So all this just for you to understand that Nigeria is also exploring the options of dialogue. So, but if dialogue fails, then probably the military option.
But then a whole lot of Nigerians. Also, King Ibe has also been dispatched to Libya and Algeria. The idea is this. See, Niger is actually the intermediary between Nigeria and Libya. And Libya is facing a whole lot of problems. So if Niger fails, most likely all these Libyan mercenaries and weapons will find its way to our doorstep. Already we are saying that the insurgency we are facing, you cannot divorce it from the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, and with all these weapons and the likes like that. So now, for the fact that Nigeria has closed its borders against Niger, what did Niger do? Niger opened its borders with Algeria, with Libya, with Sudan, with Chad, and with Mali. Now these are the countries that they feel. And if you look at all these countries that I've mentioned, apart from Algeria and probably Libya is already a failed state, because there is no central government that is actually in charge of everything in Libya. They only govern some parts, while the insurgents, the jihadists, and what have you control some other parts of Libya. Now, you now open your doorstep to those ones. You open your doorstep to Algeria, so that if at all, at least some other goods and whatsoever will come in from those areas. Sudan is in turmoil. Chad is also, and is being ruled by a military person. Chad is also being ruled by a military ruler. Now, President Idris Deby died. His vice president could not succeed him, and his son, a military man, succeeded him as the head of state. So Chad is actually being governed by a military ruler. Now talk about Mali, military. So it means that Nigeria is almost being sharing borders, and they are being ruled by military heads of state, or actually a lot of large areas that are ungoverned. So that gives room for criminality. And Nigeria ordinarily and the whole ECOWAS sub-region cannot afford just fold its hands and just close its eye to all these things. And unfortunately too, France also, there are sentiments against France. And if you look at a lot of these countries that have had this change of rulers, you would see that these are former French colonies. And there is this sentiment they have against France, that France is just taking away its resources and is actually supporting the oppression of their rulers. So one way or the other, they have these mineral resources, and these mineral resources are only being useful to France, and not even these countries themselves. So at the end of the day, you can understand this sentiment, and they don't want France to come back. They don't want that influence to come back. And at the same time, you also have, Western influence generally. Because if you look at what is happening in Sudan, it's actually a battle between the West and Russia, an extension of that battle. Now, if you look at what happened in Mali, Senegal, Mali and Burkina Faso, it's also the fact that Wagner has taken over from the French troops because they have been sent out of these two nations. Now, the same thing would likely happen in Niger. So, France is losing its influence and dominance on these former colonies. And unfortunately, Russia is, gaining entry, gaining access to these resources, and for them to show that. And more like this is an extension of what is happening in the war in Ukraine. Now you're talking about the fact that the West has ganged up, the whole of the Western world has ganged up against Russia in Ukraine, despite that they've not made any headway. Now you also now have the fact that despite the presence of France and its troops in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, they've not been able to overcome these terrorist and tendencies that you have controlling some parts of these countries. Now they have called on Wagner. Even Wagner has not proven successful, because ordinarily, if you have looked at it, you should have expected that it should have proven successful in Burkina Faso and Mali, but they are still having such issues. Now they have now decided to extend that to Niger. And if you are to look at it, Niger is very, very rich when it comes to uranium and gold deposit. And all this while, France has actually been milking this particular country. France has its base and its troops in Niger. US has its base and its troops in Niger. So at the end of the day, a lot of analysts are saying that Nigeria should not allow itself to be dragged into this proxy war, an extension of the Cold War between the West and Russia, because that is most likely what would happen. But then if you look at ECOWAS leaders, see, they are in a dilemma. If we allow this to continue, most likely it will spread to other countries in West Africa. About 4 or 5 are already gone.
And all those countries are sharing borders with
now.
Nigeria.
See, all these countries, they are in West Africa. So if you allow that to happen, if out of 16, like 5 already gone, then what will most likely happen? If Kerry is not taken, it will prove successful in these countries, most likely to extend to other countries in West Africa. So they are afraid of that. And at the same time, you're talking about countries that are facing economic hardship. So one way or the other, the countries where they are proving successful, the citizens have lashed on the sentiment against France, lashed on against the economic hardships they are facing to celebrate this coup. So you're looking at that and like, should we allow this to happen? Your brothers will say that the death of a colleague is a signal to you that be prepared. Now, if you allow that to happen, it might extend to your doorstep. But at the same time, you also don't want to get trapped into these endless wars, because it will become a civil war in Africa, in West Africa. African brothers playing the game of the imperialists. Because you don't want to play the game of Russia. I also don't want to play the game of the Western world. Because at the end of the day, these people will sit in their cocoons and continue to enjoy. You guys kill yourselves. Because at the end of the day, whichever way it goes, it favors that it is in their own interest, not even in the interest of West Africans. So that is why Nigeria needs to tread softly. We don't want war, but at the same time, you also don't want undemocratic administrations around you, which could actually spread to your own country. Then at the same time, you cannot say that, if you look at Nigeria is actually undertaking a particular project. It's an economic project. It's a gas project to Europe. And it is passing through Niger. Coming from Nigeria, passes through Niger, goes to Algeria. And from Algeria, it will pass to Europe. And another pathway will pass through Morocco to Spain. From Algeria to other places like Greece, France, and the likes like that. Now, because of the war in Ukraine, Europe is trying to, diversify its gas, sources away from Russia to other countries that have, probably from Middle East or from Nigeria. So that AKK gas project to Europe is already on, and it will have to pass through Niger. Now, if Niger falls to the hands of Russia will not allow that project to succeed, because it means that these European countries can now, stay independently of Russia for its gas needs. So you will not want a Russian, control government in Niger. But at the same time, the citizens are not interested in having a French control government in their own country, because they felt that all these years they've not gotten anything in return
from their government,
and from France, that has been exploiting these resources. And France would love that project will come, so that at least it can get to Europe and they can benefit from it. So you can see the African leaders are in a dilemma. You don't want coup at your doorstep, and at the same time you also don't want to fight, because the cost of it, can you undertake it? If Russia will not support these regimes in West Africa, can you face the Wagner forces with funding from Russia? Will the West put down its troops to fight this war in Africa? Will they fund this war? In all of this, Nigeria is the one other West African countries are, looking up to. And at the same time, we have our own domestic issues. We have our own problems. We have our economic problems. We have our own security challenges. We are facing banditry. You are facing the insurgency, Boko Haram. You're also facing IPOB. You are facing farmers' headsmen clashes. You're talking about kidnappers. All this facing us. We've not been able to solve them.
Internally.
Internal issues, security issues. You don't want to add that to it. Not to now talk about the economy of this war. the financial implications.
But we can't just still keep looking. We will still need to do hard.
So we can't fold our hands, but people are saying, don't fold your hands, but please don't put down your boots in Niger. Let us limit it to economic sanctions. See, the citizens want this coup peace. Let them continue to enjoy them. We know quite well they will cry later. So let them enjoy the euphoria.
If they don't want it,
if they don't want
they
them,
should fight for.
they should
fight
see,
against
it's their headache. The reality is, see, we faced our own challenges when the military men were in charge. We were under military rule. When we got tired, we fought for democracy. So it's their own domestic problems. Let them face it, please.
Let them face their own domestic problem
as we face ours.
As we faced ours then.
Not just then, we are still facing ours now. So let us concentrate on our own problem and allow them face theirs.
Okay. Election petition tribunal reserves judgment in petition as parties adopt written addresses. Close case.
All the hearings have been, done. The presentation of witnesses, submission of exhibits, evidences, and the likes like that. So all the parties have submitted, written addresses. They've closed their written addresses to close their cases. What we are waiting for now is judgment. So the tribunal has reserved judgment in the petition filed by the PDP and the petition filed by the Labour Party as well as the APM. So those are the three petitions we are awaiting judgment. So all of them have uploaded their written addresses, and at the final hearing during the week for the PDP, Atiku Abubakar was in court with his supporters, and for the Labour Party, Peter Obi was in court with his running mate, Dati Baba Ahmed, as well as even Chimamanda Adichie. It's a case of I'm supporting him full chest. So he has shown where her support lies. So that is for that. And for the APM, those ones have closed their cases weeks ago. So what we are waiting now, the court says that it has reserved judgment. It should announce the date for its verdict. So all the parties concerned will be informed on the day the judgment would be delivered. So we all wait to see what is happening. I bet a lot of people feel like, looking at the conclusion of APC as far as its written addresses, people are saying these guys are already preparing their minds that probably the election might be nullified, and probably that is actually reflected in the way they approached the case, and they are saying that even if at all a rerun will be ordered, it should be just between APC and PDP. The Labour Party, in fact, should not feature. That probably what is APC afraid of? Is APC afraid of Peter Obi or what? So, but that remains to be seen. But I think as far as APC is concerned, APC feels that, Labour Party is not even the issue. It is PDP that we are actually facing, because we know that if we were to follow the trends of what is happening to Labour Party candidates in other areas, other states where they've lost tribunal, where they are facing election petition, despite the fact that they even won the election.
They won the election there.
So you see that in House of Reps in Kaduna and Delta, two of such elections where the Labour Party won and they have their members in the National Assembly the elections have been nullified by the tribunal, and the PDP candidates in those two areas have actually been declared the winner on the basis that they did not follow the Electoral Act, in terms of the fact that these people were not members of the Labour Party as at the time the primary of the party was held. So that remains to be seen. I know it's a case of the Electoral Act says that you must submit the list of your party members 30 days before the primary. And as at the expiration of that 30 days deadline, when they submitted the list of the party members to INEC, these people that eventually became candidates of the Labour Party were not members of that party, and their names were not on the register of members submitted to INEC as of that May 28th date. So any other thing that is built on nothing cannot, you cannot build something on nothing. So on that basis, they are saying that most likely that is all would also happen to Peter Obi at the tribunal. So they are not even looking at the side of Peter Obi, but the obedience are actually hopeful that with what they have presented, they are even saying that Tinubu does not even qualify to even stand in the first instance because of allegations of
certificate, issues, age issues, issues of drug case and the likes like that. So those are the grounds. So we will await the judgment and remains. But one funny thing happened, which trended on the social media, and that was the fact that Mr. Peter Obi, the video showed probably he lost his phone at the tribunal on that day when they were finally closing when they were closing their case at the tribunal, because the video showed I kept my phone, I kept them here, and he could not find it. So people are laughing that so obedience are actually stealing their own phones now. So that after all, he sat with his supporters. So who would have picked it there then? So it means they are not. So that is one. But for obedience also fired the salvo back and saying that they know quite well that it is Agbadorians, who they are referring to, that stole the phone. Probably they were looking for evidences or things to nail Mr. Peter Obi probably on his phone, and probably get his recording and things, all sorts of conspiracy theories flying left and center. But regardless, what matters most is we are waiting the judgment, and we hope that justice will be served to all parties.
Yes, as you are listening, as you are watching, you can as well like, comment, and we share. That will do us a lot of that would do us more good. Please, let's do that. As you are watching, help us like, comment, and we share. President Tinubu makes first nationwide address tackles subsidy removal challenges with 500 billion packages.
For the 500 billion package that President Tinubu announced in his address, some said that the address was actually very timely because people are frustrated. They are looking forward to what exactly does the government have for the poor masses to be able to cushion the effect of the full subsidy removal. For the fact that you're saying that you have saved 1 trillion naira in the last 2 months, so what exactly are you giving us in return for the suffering that we're going through? And the president came out with this 500 billion naira package. To a large extent, for some people, they believe that probably that calmed a lot of frail nerves. But it remains to be seen. Some of these things that are very beautiful when you read them out. But everyone is saying that it's not about the beauty of what you have said. It's actually about the level of implementation. So we're going to see the grains that you're talking about. Farmers going to get these fertilizers. You talked about the promising that a new minimum wage is coming. What exactly are we looking at here? Because if you're saying, and later on, probably just around yesterday, the new spokesperson to the president, Ajuri Ingilale, that has just been appointed, said that Nigerian workers should don't worry, they should expect at least a double of the in the minimum wage. And we're like, are you all right? What are you saying? We're talking about the fact that you increase the pump price of fuel in the name of subsidy removal. Because as far as I'm concerned, I still don't understand the mathematics around all these these new rates. Because a lot of although I see them as conspiracy theories, that probably we can afford to actually get these products in at a very, very reduced amount compared to the 617 naira that it is selling for in Abuja. That we can actually get it for something less, way less than that. How that is, I don't know. How much exactly are we giving out this crude? How much exactly are we buying this in? At what rate exactly? I don't know. But they come up with all these figures. But then what we are saying is that this fuel price jumped from 185 naira or 195 naira to what it is now, about 617 naira in Abuja. That's more than triple the amount. So if you're not talking about the fact that you want to increase minimum wage, if the minimum wage currently is 30,000, if you not double it to 60,000, does that capture the level of inflation that Nigerians are going through? Talking about food inflation, the inflation of in the price of increase in the price of everything within the economy. Now, if ordinarily I use 5,000 naira fuel a week, it means now that I would have to spend close to 20,000 naira a week. So you're now telling me that if probably before I'm now receiving 30,000 naira, I should be receiving 60,000 naira. Does that really capture the
the rate of increment in the price of goods and services. So that's what a lot of people are saying. And at the same time, that you're saying that you release that, okay, the president, for instance, promised to you're talking about plans infrastructure fund with states. We know these states have actually been irresponsible. So if they default, is there any measure to really guide against some of these excesses of the governors? You're talking about the fact that you are saying the increment in school fees should be stopped. Now, what are we going to get? Because I'm sure one way or the other, you must have communicated with these school authorities before they decide to jack up the school fees. The unity schools, the fees move from 40,000 to 100,000. That's 150% increase. For federal tertiary institutions, an institution like University of Lagos increased its fees from 19,000 to 100,000. That's over 400% increment. Do you get it? So what are we now talking about? That you want to just double minimum
wage from 30 to 60.
So what are we talking about? Nigerians are saying that you did not talk about the issue of the refineries and how well probably and how soon we'll get it. Although the president later came up during the week to say that December, but that the refinery will be ready. But we're saying that, okay, we will give you your words. We would hold on to your words that December the Port Harcourt refineries will start operation. How about the so-called thieves that benefited from this subsidy sleaze? Is there anything in terms of prosecution, investigation, or whatsoever against them? Because for now, nothing seems to be happening. These ideas, this CNG and other things that you say you want to roll out, how soon are we going to get them? How soon are we going to get these buses? Because it's supposed to be something that should be done by all the tiers of government, the federal, the state, and the local government. So many of these states have actually been irresponsible in responding to these yearnings. The local government is even non-existent because the states have actually milked the local government try, and they have turned them to just normal appointees of the governor. So we are waiting to see what the president how they would implement these packages, these 500 billion naira packages to cushion the effects of the subsidy, and how effective it will be, how effective it will be implemented, how effectively it will be implemented, and at the same time how well that would actually go far. It will be how far-reaching it will be to cushion the sufferings of Nigerians following the subsidy removal.
Tinubu sends second batch of ministerial list to Senate as lawmakers coin nominees. Former Governor Oyetola, Mutawali, Bagudu, Gaidam, Lalong, 14 others make new lists. Tinubu, let's take it together.
Yes.
Ministerial nomination. Tinubu adds Keyamo, replaces Miriam Shetty with Mariga Mahmoud. As Senate screens Lalong, Oyetola, Bagudu, 10 others. Now, the second senatorial list has been sent.
Ministerial list.
The second ministerial list has been sent to the lawmakers.
Oh, the third. Okay. 3 lists now. 3 lists, 3 batches.
The issue of this Mariga Mahmoud and Miriam Shetty, a whole lot of people were like, this is a public disgrace. It's not supposed to be like this. They had enough time to prepare their lists. More than 60 days that the president has been sworn in. So now, after sending the list, they are still changing for the other.
Well, first is you must understand that when it comes to ministerial list, it's the prerogative of the president. That's number one. Number two is the fact that, see, for this ministerial list, there are so many, things. It's power play in display. So you're seeing politics in action, power play. See, we have turned ministerial lists to political compensation for patronage, for support during these elections. And that's what you're seeing. See, a lot of us feel that Because you can just sit down in your cocoon the way we are sitting in the studio and just analyzing things. That does not determine what would happen when it comes to political appointment. Now where person they work, now in the shop. Now why they call am workshop?
Okay, now
That
why
is
they call am
workshop. Yes.
You work there, you shop
Shop
there.
there. That is why they call am workshop. That is the mentality of the politicians. We live, sleep, eat in politics, and when we put all our efforts in it, and when the reward comes, we'll also get everything. That is it. So it's a case of those who supported them, they are actually getting compensated. Because you look at it, we are talking about the fact that the cost of governance has gone up. We are saying there is no money, and you are enlarging the cabinet. Constitutionally, yes, 36 states. All of them must have representatives in the federal cabinet.
Federal cabinet.
Fine. But then, you have increased it to 48 nominees. That's ridiculous. If ridiculous has a name. You're saying that people should tighten their belts, and you are creating more rooms for some people to embezzle our funds. That is it. Because now, the cost of governance would increase. All these ministerial appointees would get official vehicles, would get aids, SSA, this and that, PA, would get orderlies and things, bulletproof jeeps, and for goodness sake.
Because they are ministers.
They are ministers. You have to take care of them. That's on the one hand. Now, for these appointees, see, the president can change whoever he wills. That's his own prerogative. But then you must understand that it's actually power at play. This is politics of Kano State. Some people believe that Mariam Shetty, yes, an APC supporter, a physiotherapist, a TikToker. When it comes to political influence, she's largely unknown. Now, coincidentally, she's a classmate. She had been a classmate with Mariga Mahmoud, another woman, a former commissioner in Ganduje's cabinet. That Mahmoud, that woman, was the former commissioner for higher education or under Ganduje in Kano State. Mariga Mahmoud is a friend and colleague, professional colleague of Amina Ganduje, the daughter of Ganduje. They have worked together, and it was even rumored that she influenced the appointment of Mariga Mahmoud into the cabinet of Ganduje. She's a medical doctor. Now, Mariga Mahmoud and Mariam Shetty both attended the same secondary school, so they were classmates from JSS1 to JSS3. Then, apart from that, they both went to the same university. While Mariam Shetty studied physiotherapy, Mariga Mahmoud studied medicine and surgery. So Mariga Mahmoud now worked with Amina Ganduje, as medical doctors. So they formed that affinity. So whether it is still Amina Ganduje or Ganduje, former Governor Abdullah Ganduje himself, who is now the APC chairman. That called the shot that made the president to reverse the appointment of Mariam Shetty, that we don't know. But then it was disappointing because Mariam Shetty was already at the National Assembly waiting for her, about to be screened, when she got the information that her name has been yanked off the ministerial list and that she will no longer be facing the Senate for screening. But I believe that the president, one way or the other, would compensate her. I know. Because she was one of the strong voices of the APC. She has been. She was also part of the former, administration, Muhammadu Buhari, and did some projects like that. And she's also a core professional. You can't give her that. In fact, she was one of the. It was claimed that she was one of the physiotherapists of Usain Bolt at the London 2012 Olympics. So that's to show you the extent to which she has gone professionally. But by and large, see, it's a case of the president has the prerogative to say, work for me, okay, don't work for me anymore. And for those who have actually mocked Festus Keyamo, that you see, all this your noise, this and that for APC, you have nothing to show for it. And that one is saying it's not compulsory I have to be made a federal minister. It's not. Supporting the party and supporting the election of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not based on the promise that I'll be made minister if he becomes the president. No, that's the prerogative of the president. See, there are so many people, thousands, that worked for the president at the level of the APC. At that level,
political groups,
different things, that one way or the other they will get their compensation in one way or the other. See, there are so many boards, there are ambassadorial positions, there are so many appointments that will be made. So for those who probably did not get the ministerial appointment, ambassador and so many other ones. In fact, some people are still questioning the fact that, are you sure the talks between Tinubu and Kwankwaso the talks have not broken down? Because there was this rapport between Tinubu and Kwankwaso, in fact, before he was even sworn in. So they were like, oh, probably Kwankwaso is being lobbied to become a minister, so that this and that, to give a soft landing to Ganduje as a way of resolving the issues Kwankwaso had with Ganduje and the likes like that. But along the line, none of probably Kwankwaso's men have been given any appointments so far. So some are like, is that the end of the parley? And now that Ganduje has not even become the APC national chairman, do you think Kwankwaso will still want to subject himself? Because at the point they were like, probably Kwankwaso was already preparing his ground to return to the APC. But then, looking at this ministerial screening, it's, to a large extent, it's a sham. I'm not satisfied with the quality of the screening, because number one, there was no portfolio attached to the ministerial list sent to.
I didn't even understand the kind of questions.
So what kind of questions? Say they were just throwing different kinds of questions.
So just like meme.
It's more like, see, all these memes. You call it memes, but then for us it's a charade. It's a joke of an exercise. It's a joke of an exercise. Recite national anthem. Why should you say recite national anthem? This and that. And you're just chit-chatting, making noise, playing and doing all sorts. National Assembly. Screening federal ministers that represent the interests of the country in all parts of the world. So you look at that and like, what are we having? Take a bow and go. If you are a former senator or a member of House of Representatives.
Yeah, part of us before.
So, at the end of the day, but one way or the other, there are also issues people felt like, and some states have, two nominees, some three, and things like that. So what is happening, this and that? It's a case of, what matters most is each state must have a representation in the National Assembly, in the Federal Cabinet. And for the first time, we have a nominee from Abuja itself, Federal Capital Territory. And that's remarkable on the one hand. Then on the other hand we're talking about a very large cabinet. That's that. And I'm also looking at it. Now, it's also, if you look at the appointments so far, the region that delivered the highest number of votes got the highest number of ministerial.
And that is making the southeast region, they are very.
And see, you cannot cry wolf. You can't cry wolf. You can't, you can't eat your cake and have it. It's a fact. And that is a fact that you cannot expect. See, the president, the constitutional recommendation and the constitutional requirement is each state must be represented, and they all are represented. So, in terms of number, whether it's now unequal, there cannot be equality when it comes to this. Even in terms of the number of states, Northwest has 7 states, Southeast has 5 states. So naturally, they would have more ministers in the federal cabinet than the Southeast. So But now you are looking at a situation where the Northwest already has about 10 or 11 ministerial appointees. South West has about 9.
Southwest has 9.
Now South has 8 with the appointment, with the nomination of Festus Keyamo. Originally they had 7, so but now they have 8.
Then Southeast
has the lowest, which is 5. One way or the other, I think it's also a message. Play a national. Let your politics be national. Don't just play regional politics. Play national politics, and you get the result one way or the other. And for some people, they feel like the president is already preparing for one. In case there will be a rerun, he's already looking at the regions that will probably give him the vote. That's why he's giving them more appointments. If truly the election is nullified and it's actually go for a rerun. So that is one. Number 2, some are already saying that no, beyond just whether or not he's just appointing people or rewarding people for their performance in the last election, he's already eyeing 2027. And he's looking at the areas where he wants the bulk of his votes to come from. See, the president is a tactical politician. Underestimate him at your own peril.
Wow. As you are watching, you can as well share, comment, like, and follow all our social media pages. Edo court out Obaseki's impeachment moves against its deputy, Shuaib.
Well, no, it's not Edo court. It's Edo.
Mm-hmm.
Court halts. Yes.
Obaseki's.
It's a temporary reprieve for Philip Shaibu. Philip Shaibu has been having a battle with his principal, the governor, Godwin Obaseki. Being the deputy governor, it seems that after the election in 2021, and when they were sworn in for a second term, Obaseki has taken over the control of the PDP in Edo State as the governor. Some of the people that he even met on ground there, he has actually displayed a lot of them. Then in terms of appointment, in terms of the way he's running the administration, it's more like a one-man show. So Philip Shaibu is dissatisfied. In fact, at a point, Philip Shaibu was seen going back to his vomit. His political godfather, his mentor, Oshomole. The same Oshomole that he derided, abused, denigrated. He went back to his vomit. And that seeming romance with Oshomole now has infuriated Obaseki. Again, even during this last election for the House of Assembly, it was almost seen as if probably they were working against the interests of the PDP. But eventually, Labour Party won Edo State at that time. So they were like, is Obaseki making a move to Labour Party? But then eventually, PDP trounced the Labour Party and even the APC in the assembly elections. So that Obaseki has been able to consolidate his grip on the House of Assembly and the politics of Edo State. So Philip Shaibu is now like an orphan, wandering in no man's land politically. And Philip Shaibu is looking at the next election because he wants to contest for governorship. So now, what caused the rift, we don't know. But it seems, for a lot of times now, for any state function, including even state executive council meeting, Philip Shaibu has not been attending. Whether he has been locked out, we don't know. Or whether he chose to abstain. But now he has run to court to say that, please, stop him from trying to impeach me. That, can the governor unilaterally think of begin impeachment moves beyond those grounds that have been stipulated in the Constitution? Can the House of Assembly and the State Chief Judge commence impeachment proceedings outside the grounds which they have been stipulated in the Constitution? Then again, can the governor unilaterally block me out of my office and stop me from performing my constitutional duties, or stop me from attending state official meetings? So those are the grounds. So pending when all that will be resolved, let any impeachment move, be stopped. So the court granted that interlocutory injunction and say that, okay, fine, before anything, let all these people be served, because at the court, the chief judge and the State House of Assembly were represented in the court, but the IGP, the DSS, and Governor Baseki were not represented. So said all of these people, let them serve them the court notices, so that by August 10, all of them should come back to court to tell,
pending that,
pending when no action, status quo antebellum, everybody should remain the way they are.
Okay. On this case of PDP set up campaign council for Bayelsa Guba poll, Wike Makinde makes list.
See, PDP does not. You see, PDP
going viral before that. They are thinking of what to do
with those people. The G5,
list,
yeah. So, but then see, now Wike has made the ministerial list of Tinubu, so he's going to be appointed a minister. Would you still say Wike is a member of the PDP? The PDP itself does not even know whether to say Wike is still their member, or he has now become an APC member. That is one. Then number two is, what should we now do to him? So, talking about, because Bayelsa is also south state, and is a border state with Rivers, and they know that Wike still wields a lot of influence when it comes to, in fact, south politics generally. So, we still need his support if he is willing to give. But then, will he give it against the APC that is also contesting that election, under which government Wike is now going to serve? Now that remains to be seen. So, and that's why when even the PDP was mocking APC, that look at APC, look at the category, the person that you have now appointed as your new party chairman, Gandola, that is facing corruption probe, is the person. If you are mocking APC, one way or the other, they've been able to resolve their own internal party crisis within this short while. Adamu is out of the equation. Now, Ganduje, the president's man, is now in charge. You say he's facing corruption probe. Well, it's still, see, every suspect remains innocent until proven guilty. So far he has not been convicted, he remains innocent. So, but how about your own party? You guys that you don't even, have an idea of what is going on with you. That you even made Wike part of your campaign, list, campaign council for Bayelsa election. Do you understand what you're doing? And who exactly is even your chairman? Look at you guys. You have an acting chairman because your child was sent packing by a court. You are not even vacated, that you've not been able to successfully overturn that, and you are now mocking another part. So, well, I think PDP would do well, because for now, as far as we are concerned, there is no opposition, and PDP has disappointed a lot of us that will feel that we would have mounted that opposition against the APC, because APC will continue to have a right against Nigerians, against the masses, if there is no viable opposition. Unfortunately, neither the PDP nor even the Labour Party has proven worthy of being an opposition to the APC. Because you look at it, even the 110 billion naira, 70 billion and 40 billion that the National Assembly allocated to its members, you have the opposition members. See, PDP members, Labour Party, all of them.
They are enough to go against.
They were also part of this largesse, and none of them, uttered a word against the largesse. So what are we saying? There is no opposition. Opposition is dead. It is the people that should take up the role of the opposition themselves.
Wow. Subsidy removal. Let's take this, before we go. Subsidy removal. Sanwo-Olu slashes BRT fares by 50%. Orders distribution of food packs to vulnerable Lagosians. Is that enough for Lagos State?
When you say vulnerable Lagosians, who are these vulnerable people? Where are they? Do we have a record of those that are vulnerable in Lagos? Or is it party members?
And how do government even intend?
Now, how would you implement this? No information, no modality has been spelled out. That's number one.
Just
audio palliative. Number two, you said you slashed the the fares of BRT. Remember that these BRT buses, they run on diesel. The price of diesel has been coming down from almost 1,000 down to 800, now 640 naira. So is that not even enough reason for you to slash the price in the first instance? So now if you're now saying yes, you slash it, you roll out new buses and things like that, because if you take the state of these BRT buses now, that's why the amount of money they're making from it, they're not properly maintained. Now come to think of it, the government now even added that the yellow buses would slash their own fares by 25%. Mr. Governor, hey, that's ridiculous.
Because the reality came out and he said they've slashed the tickets by
it's a lie. It's a lie. We know it's a lie. Nothing has been slashed.
Who is there to check and balance them?
See, Mr. Governor, if truly you want to give Lagosians palliatives for transportation, let me tell you what to do, sir. Stop all these agberos from Lagos roads.
All these ticketers, all these,
let them vacate the road. Let them stop this collection, because that is actually the number one reason
then we will
behind the high costs of transportation. That's number one. Number two is, we know Lagos State government collects 800 naira from these buses on a daily basis in the name of harmonized, charges. Unfortunately, when Lagos State government jacked up that amount to 800 naira, the union also jacked up its own amount separate from that 800 naira. So the bus drivers will pay 800 naira and pay over 1,000 or close to 2,000 to these unions at different points, different parks, different locations, different bus stops. They collect different charges. Owo aro, owo osan, owo ale, owo security, owo chairman, owo load, and all this nonsense. At the end of the day, even these drivers are complaining that what is left for us after we have paid all this and we buy fuel at exorbitant rates, and you now expect us not to transfer the costs to the passengers. So invariably, we passengers are the ones paying their agberos, because it's our money that is paying them. So Mr. Governor, if you want to give us palliative when it comes to transportation, first is stop the agberos from Lagos road. It does not even befit a mega city, for goodness sake. Mega city, Lagos. The 6th largest economy in Africa. Look at what kind of transportation model do we run? Yellow buses, agbero. Hey, Owomida, in Lagos, your smart city. Mr. Governor, please take charge. You are not in charge, forget it. Just all these ones is audio. If you probably say, apart from the 800 naira that these bus drivers are paying, no other payment, and nobody should be on the road again, they will know that you are the true governor of Lagos. Until that happens, Mr. Man, you are not the governor in charge when it comes to transportation in Lagos. Number two is that 800 naira, if ordinarily you want to give these unions through the, let's say, okay, from this 800 naira, we'll give you 25%. You take 200, the state takes 600. They will know that is all for transportation. Then we will know whether or not the prices will come down or not. Until that happens, Mr. Governor,
you are still playing.
You are playing. They play. They play. Governor,
we are
you
still
are playing.
Seriously.
No, because you look at the system. And even for this, maybe the rail project, even the so-called rail project that was commissioned prior, to the period of the election. Now, has it commenced operation? No. Now, you did the commissioning to say, yes, the tracks from Okoko from Okoko to Marina. Audio commissioning. Now it has been commissioned. The operation has not started.
They are still trying to
now. See, because you look at it, ever since the governor now won the re-election, nothing has been happening in Lagos. Imagine also the governor waiting 60 days before he sent the commissioner list to the to the House of Assembly. It shows quite well that, Mr. Governor, you have just relaxed and you feel that I have won re-election, so you guys cannot do anything to me again. That's why you are relaxed. Look at the case of the hospital that the doctor, it's part of the headlines that you read. That doctor died, Dr. Vaire Diasu. Look at hospital that has a lift that has been problematic, that has not functioned properly for over 3 years. It has been like that. Lagos General Hospital, Odon, Lagos Island, that when that incident happened, they waited 40 minutes before they could get those who are supposed to be in charge of that lift to come and actually force it open. And after eventually they were able to evacuate her from that, incident. No blood in the blood bank. No oxygen in the hospital.
In Lagos State Hospital.
Lagos State General Hospital for that matter. Minus that, you also now have a situation where even doctors that work there, the report has that the toilet facility in that hospital is very terrible. Then there is even no water for the doctors in their doctors' quarters. Doctors will now be going around taking buckets to fetch water. Lagos State of Babajide Sanwo-Olu. What are we doing? With all the billions Lagos makes on a monthly basis. So where exactly are we spending these monies?
So the doctor has gone.
The doctor has just gone like that.
There is nothing.
A doctor that was waiting for just 2 weeks left for her to conclude her housemanship. Dead just like that. And that's why even the Delta State government is protesting that a probe must be, undertaken for that. The Lagos State government say we have commenced investigation. What kind of investigation? It's just about investigation. Nobody has been suspended yet. Nobody has resigned.
And everything is still like everything is
because they know that the governor too is really who only say we will investigate and that will be the end of it. What are we doing? What actions are we taking? Has any apology even been given? Did anybody give apology?
Even if apology, does apology work?
No. It's even a case that we admit that we are guilty. Admission of guilt. That yes, we should have done better. Nobody. It's just a case that we would investigate. We would investigate, and what would we get out of it?
We hope to get a better Nigeria of our
See, hope alone will not just do it, because we really need to let them know. We need to tell them the truth. That governance is suffering in Lagos. We have government, we don't have governance in Lagos. Look at the potholes around the state. Look at abandoned projects. See, projects have been abandoned before elections. If I don't know of any, go and look at St. Finbar's Road at Koka. From Unilag Gate to Ifako. Now they've done the, but the point from Paco bus stop down to Bariga Market, that portion has been left undone before the elections. Come and see the damage it is causing to cars. Come and see the traffic it is causing on the road.
Till now,
it is there. The contractors have not moved back to site because they have not been mobilized.
Lagos State Governor, you need to act on.
That's what we are saying. We need governance in Lagos. Mr. Governor, please sit tight. We need governance.
Thank you for the attention. Thank you very much.
Because we're talking about lives here. We're only talking about Dr. Valerie Diaso's case because that's one everyone heard of it. Because it's in the public domain. Do you know the number of people that will have died probably because they could not get to the hospital? Do you know the number of people that are dying on a daily basis probably because there is no blood in the blood bank? Yes, people donate blood. Although our blood donation, in Nigeria is very poor. The level of blood donation and the awareness is also still very poor in Nigeria. But then, even for the ones that are donated, does anyone account for them? Who accounts for them? That you have a blood bank that you tell people to come and donate, or even tell people you have to buy. But even in this case now, there is even no blood to buy or no blood to use to save lives. A mega city. So say smart city. They say it's no longer even mega city. They have moved to smart city. What is smart in people dying like chickens? When government has proven to be irresponsible and irresponsive to the needs of the people. What is smart? Agbe harassing Lagos. See, the truth of the matter is, we now have a situation where people are saying, we don't even,
the smart citizens.
See, the educated, the smart citizens are now being harassed by the uneducated, the illiterate Agberus, who have been given power, who have been empowered by the so-called smart government to collect tickets and tolls on its behalf. Imagine So see, let me tell you, there was a case of a boy in my community. This was a primary school boy. I said he's not going to school again. He said, what do you want to decide how to become an Agberu? Yes.
Really?
I'm not telling a lie. This is not fable.
Said he wants to become.
Yes. Because they live big, they live large, they make money. Those of us that have gone to school, what have we to show for it? And these ones who are Agberus, who are, see, people that are making life difficult for the community. See, we are talking about thugs that have gained the patronage of government and say, okay, you control this park. And at the end of the day, you think thuggery will stop? You think cultism will stop in Lagos? When it is government that is actually patronizing them, giving them control of parks, giving them control of communities. And at the end of the day, these are the people that government rely on to collect, levies for it. And at the end they say, okay, this is the percentage you get. Just continue, render this amount, deliver this amount to us on a monthly basis. But this is whatever that is above that, whatever that excess, you are less concerned. Just give us this, and every other one is your own. So get those that want to work with you and how they want to work. It's none of our business. Our own is just deliver this, and that is the kind of system that we operate in smart Lagos in 21st century. And we say we have governance.
At this point, we'll have to call it a day. The time is not by our side, and as you are listening, as we urge you, as you are watching, you can as well do us favor by commenting, liking, and sharing in order to reach a larger audience. Thank you for listening today. I mean, your humble host EMIOLA is the name, and with me is
OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. See you next week by God's grace.
Thank you.